Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining the expert session today on maximizing firm insights by using reporting within Clio Grow. Before we get started, I want to give a big shout out to all of our wonderful sponsors who were able to help us put on such a great event over the past couple of days. My name is Prab Barar. I'm a manager on the account management team, and I've been at Clio for about 6.5 years now. And in this session, my goal is to help you unlock the full potential of your firm's data within Clio Grow. So you can begin to back up some of those anecdotal beliefs that you may have and ultimately start to make more data-driven decisions. And by the end of the session, I want everyone in this room to leave with a better understanding around some very practical strategies that you can all implement at your firm to ultimately gain greater confidence in understanding your firm's financial health by using data that's available to you within Clio Grow. I know it's Friday afternoon. I know ClioCon is wrapping up, but we're going to bring some juice for this final session here. So let's take a deeper look into what we'll be going over today. So I'm going to kick things off by talking about how you can identify your highest and top performing marketing channels, as well as those that may not be meeting expectations. We'll shift gears a little bit and we'll talk about how you can use Clio Grow reporting to identify the most profitable practice areas at your firm. And then we'll even touch on how you can use Clio Grow reporting to identify bottlenecks within your intake process, and ultimately how you can leverage feature functionality within the platform to overcome some of those challenges that you're facing. And then finally, we're going to wrap up all of these different concepts that you're going to hear me talk about today, and we're going to bring them all together and step by step go over how you can create a digital marketing strategy by using the insights that you've learned about today from Clio Grow. Now, I want to do a quick level set. I recognize that you guys are all at the expert session, so you're all familiar with the reporting that's available to you within Clio Grow. But there are two reports that you're going to hear me reference throughout the session here today. The first report is the Matter Revenue Report. Simply put, this connects your marketing efforts to your firm's bottom line. And in contrast, you'll also hear me reference the Lead Source Revenue Report. And for those that may not be familiar, the Lead Source Revenue Report essentially helps you answer one critical question, which is which of your lead generating efforts is actually most profitable and impactful for your law firm. So by using this report, you move beyond just knowing who your clients are, and you start to understand where they're coming from and their value to your firm. According to a recent legal trends report, only 51% of solo attorneys and managing partners feel very confident in their knowledge of their firm's year-over-year revenue trends. 51%. That's a big number. Let's think about that for a second. If you're not confident about where your revenue is coming from and where it's ultimately going, it's going to be difficult for you to make the decisions that you need to do, or make rather, in order to be in a position to be successful long-term as a law firm. And listen, I get it. If you have Clio Manage and you have Clio Grow, there's a lot of data that you're collecting across both of those platforms. There's various different reports. That's a lot of data. And it's hard to frankly understand where to even get started. That's why this isn't just a catchy phrase. It's frankly a new reality that we all sort of need to wrap our arms around. Because ultimately, your time should be spent where it matters most, which is serving your clients. But what if I told you that everyone in this room has access to a powerful assistant that can help you analyze these large data sets for you? Let's take a look. Now, by a quick show of hands, who's familiar with Google Gemini? Seeing a lot of hands. Love it. Perfect. Now, there are about 1 billion different use cases for Google Gemini. I'm not going to go over each individual one, but one specific one that I'm going to focus on is how this relates to analyzing data that you pull from Clio Grow. And you can do this within 3 easy steps. One is generating a report and exporting your report into a CSV format, then importing that data into Google Sheets, and from there, you have access to Gemini and can begin to enter your prompts. So this is what it will look like once your data is in Google Sheets. You'll see a Gemini icon in the top right-hand corner of your screen. And then upon clicking that Gemini icon, you'll be asked to enter a prompt. Now here's the thing. you don't need to be some super sophisticated prompt engineer to use Gemini. It is a very customer-friendly tool that's available to you. So you can ask very simple questions like, which of my practice areas drove the most revenue for my law firm in 2024? And within seconds, it will analyze that data set and give you the results that you're hoping for. And this will hopefully lead to action. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm referring to when I talk about this idea of working smarter, not harder. That's the name of the game. Now, I want to go back to this theme that I've talked about in terms of confident business owners and what that really means. A recent study found that confident business owners only spend 70% of their time on marketing, while less confident business owners spend only 49% of their time on it. It's a pretty big gap. But if you think about it, it makes sense. If you're a confident business owner, you're not going to wait to see if one of your marketing campaigns or efforts is actually going to pan out. It's something that you're going to monitor consistently so you can make revisions and pivot your strategy wherever needed. And at the end of the day, the reporting in Clio Grow is all designed to help you answer one critical question. Where should you increase your investment? So if the data shows that a specific lead source like referrals or a certain type of online ad that you're running is generating high-value clients consistently, well, that's a clear signal that there's an opportunity for you to double down. However, the flip side is just as important. If you can identify marketing channels that aren't working or aren't producing to the level that you would have thought, then this is a great opportunity for you to revise your strategy and identify what those channels are and ultimately what changes you need to make to turn around those channels themselves. Now, in terms of identifying your highest performing marketing channels or lead sources, you can do this relatively easily. You click on reports on the left-hand side, and then you select the lead source revenue report. Now, I will pause here. When you select the lead source revenue report, there's going to be a bunch of different filters that you can choose from. You can get super granular in terms of how you want to generate this report. I'm going to save you guys the trouble. I'm not going to go through every single filter because we would be here all day. However, if you have any questions about some of the filtering options that are available to you with this report, I encourage you guys to reach out to our support team or reach out to the Customer Success Center. Now, let's say in this example, I do generate the lead source revenue report. The first thing that I'm going to see are two columns. The first column I'm going to see is intake matters and matters hired. Now, intake matters is simply going to refer to your leads. And then hired matters, as you can probably guess, is going to refer to those leads that have turned into retained clients. Now, this is a great place to start in terms of understanding what your highest performing marketing channels may be within your law firm. And in this instance, it's very clear that my website is generating the most amount of leads for my firm. However, these aggregate totals is not the best sort of data point to look at to make these decisions on whether or not you need to double down or reconsider what your strategy looks like for a specific channel. Ultimately, what matters is the conversion rate. How many of these leads that are being generated from this specific channel are actually converting to retained clients? And if I took a look at that in this example here, what I actually find is that referrals are converting at the highest percentage relative to all my other marketing channels. And the final piece to this is, we can't, pay our employees with conversion rates. It's about dollars and cents. And that's where we reference the revenue column. The revenue column will then show you the amount of money that each one of those marketing channels is actually generating for your law firm. And in this example, again, referrals are my top lead source and channel. Now, for most firms, your top two performing marketing channels are going to be your website or your referral network. 74% of potential clients begin their search for an attorney online. So when we think about the importance of your website, it's not just about having a strong professional online presence. This is your first impression that you're making with future clients. And second, and this may sound contradictory, but it's not, I promise, 62% of potential clients ask friends and family for recommendations when they're looking to hire a lawyer. So this shows that while the search for an attorney may begin online, a referral from a friend or colleague is just as valuable and carries significant weight. And I want to be careful. I'm not pinning these two channels against one another. This is not an either-or situation. Because the reality is that the most successful law firms, they're great at both. They have a strong website that they can rely on, and they even have a stronger referral network that can generate consistent leads year over year. So, how do you make your website stronger? Let's focus on that first. I want everyone to think of their website as your firm's library. You want people to visit your library, you want them to stay a while. The content on your website, whether it be a blog post, an article, or a testimonial, these are the collections of books on your shelf. And ultimately, this is the content that helps establish your firm as a thought leader and distinguish yourself from your competitors. Most future clients aren't actually ready to hire when they visit your website. So if you have information on your website that can help answer a quick question that they may have, you're establishing credibility and trust without even meeting them. Now, I want everyone to imagine that this library is hidden in a forest somewhere in the Amazon. No matter how great your books are, no one's going to be able to find them and read them. And that's where SEO comes in. SEO is the process of optimizing your website and content to rank higher in search engine results for relevant queries. In other words, this helps make your website more likely to be seen by the right people at the right time. And I know what you're thinking. I don't have time to be an SEO expert. I have too much work to do. So what options are available for me? Let's ask John. Let's see what he did. John says, I spent $12,000 from January to June. My profit during that 6-month time period was just over $100,000. It is by far the best marketing that I've ever done or seen. Now, I don't pretend to be a mathematician, but that's a pretty incredible ROI. So what was the key to Joe's success? It was Joe's firm's strategic use of Google Local Services ads, or LSAs, which is a powerful part of your Clio Grow account that everyone has the ability to turn on and have access to. As you can see, a firm's LSA listing appears right at the top of Google search results. And this is crucial because this puts your firm in front of those high-intent clients who are actively looking for legal services. And the best part, in my opinion, is that unlike traditional ads, you only pay for a lead when someone actually connects with you, not just when they click on your ad. This makes it a highly cost-effective solution as well in comparison to alternatives. Needless to say, this seamlessly integrates into your Clio Grow lead inbox. So the moment LSA starts to generate those leads, that funnels into Grow, and your team can pick up those leads and begin working them right away. Now, if you have any questions about how to set up LSAs within your Clio Grow account, I really encourage you to drop by the Customer Success Center, and we can help get you started, or reach out to our support team. Now, in addition to that, one thing I will say, and you'll probably hear me say this quite a few times, but a strong referral network is the gold standard for marketing channels when it comes to a law firm. Because it offers a consistent funnel of high quality clients and something that you can rely on over time. But in order to have that strong funnel and have that strong referral network, you need to be able to nurture those relationships. And the first step is by understanding who your top referrers are. And we make this easy for you in Clio Grow. Click on Reports, and you select the referral report. And there are many different strategies that you can implement to nurture those relationships and expand that referral network that you're creating. So let's go over a few. So the first one I want to talk about here is an incentive-based program. By using incentives, you turn that one-way street of client service into a two-way street where there's mutual benefit. And the reality is that incentives can take many different forms. If your top referrers are other legal professionals, then maybe it's a financial reward. If your top referrers are clients, it could be a service-based reward, like a discount on future services or anything that's not be a powerful motivator for that specific referrer. An additional benefit to creating an incentive program is the fact that you create a partnership with those top referrers. They're going to be true partners in the sense that they're going to be committed and more invested in your firm's business outcomes. Not to mention the fact that by creating an incentive program, you're demonstrating confidence in your ability to deliver an exceptional client experience time after time. Now, while an incentive program offers that monetary and tangible reward, an exclusive event provides just as much of a valuable experience. And the difference here is that by creating some sort of exclusive networking event, you're creating a unique memory for that referrer. And I'm not breaking any new news here by saying that in the digital age, face-to-face interaction is more important than ever. So these exclusive events allow your firm's attorneys to meet with your top referrers in a non-transactional environment, which will then support you in building real relationships that you can rely on to support your law firm long-term. And the last piece that I'll say here is that these events can also be tailored to your firm's expertise. For example, if you're a firm that specializes in real estate law, you can host a workshop on property investment trends. If you're a business law firm, you can host a seminar on cybersecurity for small businesses. At the end of the day, it's about identifying who your top referrers are and what sort of experiences are going to resonate most with those referrers. And the underlying theme between these two strategies that we talked about, whether it be an incentive program or creating these exclusive events where you can build these relationships, is this idea of personalization. One thing that I see all the time is that law firms will often send out this mass generic email, typically around the holidays, to say thanks to their clients, business partners, etc. Which is great. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I am saying is that if that's the only time that you're showing appreciation, then that messaging may fall flat. And it doesn't always have to be some of these grandiose acts of showing your appreciation for your referrers. Sometimes it can just be a quick email saying, hey, we're moving forward with that Jones case that you sent us last week. Thanks again for thinking of us. The reality is that everyone wants to be recognized. So a simple, thoughtful gesture like that goes a long way in building that relationship. So I want everyone in this room to think about how you can integrate some of these simple, practical strategies at your law firm. One way everyone can do it that has Clio Grow is by setting up an automated workflow. So the next time that you have a successful referral, create a task to send out a personalized email saying thank you. Will go a long way in making sure that your law firm is top of mind for that referrer. So we spent a lot of time discussing how to get clients in the door, but that's frankly only half the battle. According to a recent legal trends report, attorneys in small firms spend 40% of their time on non-billable tasks such as client intake. Now, the good news is that just like how Clio Grow can help you improve your marketing efforts, it can also help you win back this lost time. So when we think about optimizing your intake process, the first place that I want to start is the pipeline. Now, when I reference the pipeline in Clio Grow, is everyone familiar with what I'm referring to? I would hope so. Hands? Perfect. Beautiful. This is essentially a visual map of your intake journey. And the best part is that the reporting in Clio Grow will actually show you how effective you are at moving your leads from one stage to the next. And the reason why this is so important is this is where you can identify if there's any bottlenecks in your existing intake process. Where is your funnel getting slowed down? Where is there opportunity for you to actually streamline? That's a question customers have quite often when it comes to understanding whether or not their current intake process is actually the most optimal intake process for their firm. So I want to walk through an example here with a fictitious law firm, the law office of Priya Chandy. After attending a Maximizing Firm Insight session, Priya hears about the power of LSAs. So Priya tells herself, the first thing I'm going to do when I get back to the office is I'm going to set up LSAs. After a month later, she's super excited to see the impact of doing so. There's a lot of buzz around the office. We know that more leads are coming in, but she wants to see the data. So she clicks on reports on the left-hand side and she generates a matters added report. Now, upon generating that report, what she finds out is that the implementation of LSAs worked. Her funnel is full. But there's a problem. The problem is that her conversion rate is still very low. So she's confused. She doesn't really understand why that is. She thought LSAs would solve all of her problems. So why would her conversion rate be so low? So she goes back to the pipeline to take a deeper look. And what she finds is that a large number of those leads are getting stuck at the early stages of her intake process. So the leads are coming in, but they're not moving along and progressing and ultimately becoming retained clients. So once she realizes where the problem is, the next step is to identify what it is. So she reaches out to her paralegal, who typically handles client intake, and what she finds is that each new lead requires the paralegal to manually review the lead, draft a personalized email, and then send out an intake form. And with all of the new leads that are coming in through LSA, this process has become a huge time drain. And if you combine that with the paralegal's normal day-to-day activities, this is causing a delay of 24 to 48 hours before her leads hear back from her. That delay is the root of the problem. So Priya puts her knowledge into action. She goes into her Clio Grow account and she implements a simple but effective solution, an automated workflow. So this workflow is designed to do one thing. The moment a new lead comes in through the firm's website, the system will now automatically send out a personalized email with a link to the intake form. No more manual review, no more drafting emails, no more waiting. And the response is instantaneous, meeting the client where their interest is at their peak. A month later, Priya revisits those same reports, and the story is completely different. Her conversion is now in a much healthier state after just 1 month of implementing the automated workflow. This is the power of using Clio Grow's data to identify those bottlenecks where you may not have looked before. So we've talked about how you can streamline your intake process and how that can lead to increasing your conversion rates. But what about the actual revenue that those clients are bringing in? This is the final piece to the puzzle to ensure that your intake process is not only efficient, but also highly profitable. So we're going to talk about this concept of revenue refinement. So you heard me talk about this a little bit earlier, but more and more law firms are now offering legal services across multiple different practice areas. And this isn't breaking any news to anyone in this room, but not all practice areas are as equally profitable. But how do you know which one of your practice areas is truly bringing in the most revenue for your firm without referencing the data that you have available to you? And in Clio Grow, you can do this by generating the Matter Revenue Report. And I want to go back to this idea of working smarter and not harder. You can see here that I generated my Matter Revenue Report in a CSV format. I've thrown that data into Google Sheets, and now I have a couple of options in terms of analyzing this data. I can use Gemini, or I can create a quick pivot table to get the information that I need. Now, one of the biggest challenges for firms that use flat fee billing is understanding whether that flat fee is actually profitable. It's easy to assume that you're making money, but without data, you can't really be sure. And one thing that you can do is whenever you have a new lead come into Clio Grow, you can have an estimated value for that matter at the intake stage. So as you continue to work that matter, and that matter moves from grow to manage, you can also track the actual time that you're spending on that matter. And by simply tracking your time in Clio Manage, you're collecting the data that you need to look at to assess whether or not your pricing strategy is accurate. And I want to be careful. This isn't about billing your clients on an hourly basis. This is more so tracking your time so you can compare that to your flat fee and see if you're actually charging your clients the correct rate. So we spent a lot of time about talking about how to optimize your intake process, refine revenue streams, but I want everyone to zoom out a bit. The average law firm's marketing spend is about 5% of total expenses. But that number is growing rapidly at an 8% annual rate, which means that there's a big shift in priorities for law firms of all sizes. But it's not just about spending more money. That's not going to solve the problem. The reality is that as your marketing budget increases, it's going to become more and more critical to have a smart, data-driven strategy to ensure that you get return on your investment. So that's where I want to talk about how you can use the insights that we've talked about so far in today's session and put that all together and create a digital marketing strategy with the help of Clio Grow. Now, step one in creating that digital marketing strategy is understanding who your target client is. Before we spend a single dollar on a new ad or write a single blog post for your website, we need to understand who we're targeting and why. Clio Grow can support you with this. All you need to do is look at your lead source revenue report. That will give you the answers to the test. That will tell you where your clients are coming from, where they're seeing you. And ultimately, that's where you should be focusing your time. Step two, pretty straightforward. What are your goals? What are you hoping to accomplish? I understand that not every law firm is looking to bring in new leads. Maybe retention. And when it comes to setting those goals, it can be as simple as generating more qualified leads. But setting these specific goals help you create a roadmap for your digital marketing strategy and help you allow to use Clio Grow's reporting to track your progress throughout building that strategy and implementing that strategy. The third step is choosing your ideal marketing channel. It's not just about being everywhere. It's about being effective where it matters most, where you're going to put yourself in a position to be seen by your target clients. As we discussed before, referrals are the gold standard. They consistently bring in the most high-quality, pre-qualified leads. In addition to that, you also have access to email marketing. And specifically, one thing that I want to call out is a brand new feature that we released not too long ago that's now available within every Clio Grow account. And that is our email marketing functionality. If you click on marketing on the left-hand side, you'll be brought to the email marketing page, and this is where you can create targeted email campaigns. So you know who your target client looks like, you know what your goals are, and now you can use the email marketing functionality to be your channel and be your driver of that strategy. The last piece is establishing your success metrics. And I know what you're saying. I thought we already talked about our goals. What's the difference? Your goals are the what you want to achieve. Your metrics are the how, the specific data points that you'll use to measure if you're actually achieving those goals. So an example of a success metric could be your conversion rate. What is the conversion rate from the traffic that you're bringing onto your website that's converting to qualified leads? What's the progress that you've made since implementing this strategy? Another success metric, and probably a better one, is profitability per matter. This is kind of like the gold standard when it comes to your success metrics, because it'll link all of your marketing efforts directly to your firm's revenue. As we wrap up here, it's no longer enough to just get more leads. You need to know which of your marketing channels, from SEO to paid ads to your referral network, are bringing in the most profitable clients to your law firm. Remember Priya's story? The data told her that her manual intake process was losing her money and was a major bottleneck. But Clio Grow's reporting helped identify that bottleneck and allowed her to be proactive in being able to find a solution. If there's one thing that I hope everyone in this room takes away from this session, is that referrals are the gold standard. They are number one. They are super, super, super important. If you haven't thought about your referral network before, now is a great time to start. Understand who your top referrers are, build those relationships, and make sure that you're building those relationships in a way in which you're consistently adding to your network. And you're not just relying on the same top referrers month over month, year over year. And ultimately, this isn't just about a few reports. It's about building a data-driven culture at your firm. So by consistently analyzing your pipeline, assessing your profitability, and using these insights to refine your marketing and operations, you'll move from simply reacting to market trends to proactively building a more efficient, profitable, and ultimately confident law firm. Thank you so much.